excited to hear the thoughts of, the previous two speakers. Um, one who talked about some of the journey of melting Mr. Chug, Mr. Manoj, basically the melting the IT and the business. And then we had, gentlemen who spoke about AI-led SDN networks and how you need to look into some of the very key areas. Um, Loved it, both of them. And I have a lot of background in the infrastructure, so I could really appreciate where you were coming from. Today, what I want to cover is something I call some of the learnings that I had in the digital transformation. And I'm going to take one case study, one or two case studies to walk you through, see if it resonates with some of you, do's and don'ts. And I'll try to, even though it has some details, a lot of technologies, I'll try to, keep it at a certain level so that it becomes more of a conversation rather than too much jargon. Okay, so. Okay. So, transformation, I think if you're really serious about transformation, I think you got to be very serious about how you're going to breathe it. Because you have to live like day one as if this day is never going to end and you're going to accomplish what you have set forth for. If you postpone anything, it just doesn't happen. So this is the massive journey that you begin on. And there are other sayings also like tomorrow never comes, today never goes. It will remind you of those also. So those of you who have been on the roller coaster ride of transformation, you will realize that it's a never ending, but you have to be very, very passionate, I can tell you that. Otherwise, it's a very challenging journey as well. So next few slides, I'll share with you one of the real life scenarios when I moved back to India 2 years ago, and I plan to be here. I love it, love being here. I took one of the companies where we not had to only transform the company, but also help the customers who are going through the transformation journey. And the customers that I have are physical infrastructure customers like airports. Imagine bringing, digitalization to them. And so this was one of the onerous tasks we had. And they also do not understand a lot of, jargon about IT, explaining to them how this will help with the business outcomes. And some of the learnings that I had are very similar with what Mr. Manoj also shared, that you have to constantly focus on the business needs. And I'll just walk you through it. I won't bore you much with the company history. Um, Company that I'm very fortunate to lead is WAISL. It's a digital airport company. We do an end-to-end service all the way from operations, IT operations of the airport, running airport 24 by 7. Whether you have a switch, router, IoT sensor, Wi-Fi, 4Gs, upcoming 5G systems, firewalls, biometric, you name a technology that's deployed out there, we are responsible for running it 24 by 7, managing it. And then we also bring in a lot of digital interventions, some done in-house, some through the partners, right? Because in today's world, please remember that it is fast that eats the slow, not that big eating the small one. So when I say fast eating the slow, you do not have the liberty of building everything in-house. You have to sometimes look at best of the breed partners and figure a way to solve the problem by a combination of in-house and something with the partnership. So that's what we do in the digital stack when we bring solutions to our customers. And we have learned quite a lot actually by serving up to 100 million passengers annually. So it tells you how much insights we have been able to develop um, basically over the course of time. And these are the touch points I have with 100 million passengers of certain strata in the society. So it's like I'm serving one whole country, if you would, if it was a smaller country, right? So that's the kind of learnings we developed. This company is 10 years old. We went through the journey of, serving Delhi airport, then Hyderabad airport, then we built the new Goa airport that's in the Mopa. Then we have started winning some other projects like in Kuwait, Kanur, and recently we were one of the solution provider for Digi Yatra that some of you might have used. If not, I would highly encourage you because that brings, the digitalization at forefront in the airport, both at Delhi and Hyderabad. We implemented that. Part of the solution came from us, other through the partners, because we really had to meet the tight deadlines that ministry had set forth. Now, next few slides, I'll cover through this example of what we went through on the digital transformation of the airport. I want to just quickly cover some of the journey. And you can relate it to the other enterprise verticals also. So, couple of shifts that are happening in the industry, in the airport industry. And if you just abstract it, this is going to be no different than what you see elsewhere. For example, the first one, which I'm calling as the growing passenger and air cargo, it's all about capacity building. Many industries go through it, right? A gentleman before me talked about manufacturing and other ones. Manufacturing goes through the same thing. How do they build the capacity? How do they build the more production yield? So it boils down to very similar problem that we are seeing on the airport now. How do I cater to more and more passengers? There's a revenge travel that's on the take, and people are getting really impatient. Now, the margins are getting very, very tight, and that's happening in other businesses too. So I am now forced, even as a technology solution provider to my customer, I am forced when I go to have a discussion with them on a certain technology, that how I can enable non-aero, non-aviation revenues for them, even though they're in the aviation business. So this is what we call as a circular thinking and the transformation journey, not the linear thinking, which means you're going there to solve one problem, but while solving one problem, if you can touch upon 2, 3 problems more, that's what we call a circular problem solving. So in this case, when we go to airports as an example, when we offer them a technology solution, we tell them, okay, maybe I can enable your retail sales of your food and beverage. Maybe I can help you with your lounge experience. Maybe I can help customers get out of the security queues faster in case I put these technologies so that they get to the experience center of retail lounges faster, and maybe that will enable your more revenue enhancement. So that's how you basically, as technology solution providers, you have to think, and those are the kind of solutions you think about, where customer is also then very much encouraged. Because I'll tell you something, one mistake sometimes I feel the tech industry makes is we talk a lot about bottom line and saving. We don't talk to our customers enough about increasing the top line. The day you change that conversation, when you're presenting a solution, customer will be very amenable to looking at it, because you increase the top line, you increase their margins, they will be very willing to spend. And those are the conversations we have with airports also, after recognizing customer around us has changed. Customer behavior, whatever behavior they have in their personal life, if you were to study in the a day in the life of a customer, analogous to, you might have studied in a day in the life of a packet in a router. Now you apply the same constructs a day in the life of a customer. What does he do when he wakes up? What time he looks at his phone, brushes, all that stuff? And when does he actually book a taxi to go to the airport? Similarly, you apply for other enterprises. You will draw so many insights that you can carry forward into the enterprise vertical where you're solving the problem. And that's what we notice in the airports. Youngsters coming into airports, millennials coming into airport, they are so much digital savvy. They want solutions in the airport in the similar manner what they have been used to getting outside of airport ecosystem. And in the coming time, you will see us, catering to those kind of persona and journey also within the airport systems. Security concerns, we have talked a lot about, whether it's a physical, cyber, the same threats exist out here, which speaker before me also touched upon. And every business today is looking at how to be a responsible business. Sustainability is a big theme across enterprises. So whatever I'm sharing with you, as I said, in the airport ecosystem, you can apply it very well to your own businesses. And the lessons that I have drawn upon is go after the top line, help the customer with the top line, and go with the business outcomes instead of just the technology solution. That will truly help you out. Now, there are challenges. Let me just quickly talk about some of the challenges that you might have seen. Cost is one issue. That's why I touched upon that. Look at the top line instead of before you discuss the cost. If you help customer with the top line, cost can be taken care of. Security concerns, the reason I bring it up, you save in one bucket, but security grabs a lot of your money. So in the end, you have to help customer a lot on the top line. That's the only answer I've seen again and again. Right? More and more businesses are spending so much money on the security, whether to prevent ransomware, whether to prevent cyber security hacks, you name it. They will continue to spend more and more on it. Data privacy laws in India are actually going up a notch now. GDPR, which was unheard of here a few years ago, everybody is very well aware of. India is going to come out with even more stringent laws. Imagine, I cannot do behavior analytics or a rogue person detection in the airports, because I'm going to be fringing on people's privacy. And yet, I need to make sure I'm able to profile people who are undesirable. We are able to profile weapons and other things. So how do you solve this problem without actually infringing upon the people's rights? And so the reason I share this with you is as we are going through that journey, I bet you many enterprises are going through the same as well. Getting skilled workforce in a timely manner has been a challenge. So you have to depend a lot on the automation and technology out here. And the ecosystem I come from is a very, very multi-stakeholder. You would think it's easy that I can just walk into CIO's office or CEO of an airport and sell them the solution, and they are driving the transformation. They will look at me, they will applaud and they'll move forward. No, they have stakeholders. Their stakeholders are airlines. Their stakeholders are government. Their stakeholders are regulators. Their stakeholders are airport handlers. They have to go convince everybody, bring them to the same page and table. And this is probably the ecosystem that you deal with in some of your industries also. That's what makes it really, really hard at times. Now, other problems that we notice, the people whom you're meeting, if they are also not aligned in driving the transformation from the business outcomes, it becomes a very, very difficult conversation. So you have to always go towards the business people first, work with them and help them drive with their IT counterparts. That's how the problems will get solved. The last one is very hard, culture shift. At times you will see it both inside and out, I'll tell you this. And my experience in life has been, it is difficult to sell inside than outside, especially when you're going for a change. For anybody who has gone on a serious change in your life, you will always find that the stakeholders inside, who have basically driven the results, they have, not that they are not great professionals, they have been able to drive the results, but they have been programmed to work in a certain manner to drive those outcomes. The world around us is changing so fast, changing that mindset at times takes very long. So what you do is you basically infuse basically the current leadership that you have with the new blood. That's how you basically bring in the change in the mindset. You have to follow the principle of mindset, skill set, and action, not other way around. People tend to do skill set, they just forget about mindset. Till you don't put the right mindset in place, your skill set and action is not going to happen. And this is what I have seen again and again, both at your end and customer end. This will be the hardest journey for you that you go through. But this is going to give you results. And everybody has heard that phrase, which I truly believe in, culture eats strategy for lunch. And that is so true. You can build all your business and tech strategies. They'll be useless unless, you're very specific about it. So that's something, we have also gone through that journey as we have embarked on it. Now, if you were to categorize, sorry, we have some problems. थोड़ा ऊंचा बोलना पड़ेगा. No, it has not ended. I know it. Okay. So as we worked with, for example, the physical infrastructure like airport, if you have to categorize some of the problems they were facing, right? Don't worry about the details. If you just look at the bigger blocks, passenger experience, change passenger with the customer experience for your verticals. Capacity unlocking, as I just described, everybody is looking for better yields and more capacity serving. Operational efficiency, revenue enhancement, security, sustainability. This is going to be no different than your businesses also. Only thing is the details will just differ from here. The use cases will differ. If you have to just categorize at a broad level, every industry is facing a very similar challenge. I'll just quickly now walk you through some of the use cases and examples also of basically some of the key imperatives we talked about. One of the imperatives we talked about is how do you make sure you serve bigger capacity and give a better passenger experience. So one thought process we had was many industries around the globe, whether manufacturing, stadiums and all, they are all using biometrics to let people come in, to do the access control. So we started doing the similar thing for the airports. We have basically facial recognition cameras. There is an AI algorithm that matches your capture of the facial recognition with the patterns in the background, and lets you basically come in. So your entry into the airport is actually your face. And the way you do that is there is an app that you download. We collaborated with government also, with the DigiYatra Foundation. You download an app, you upload your tickets, you upload your Aadhaar, you upload your lot of your information so that your profile is created. But the beautiful thing is, I as a private company, I do not have access to any of your data at all. Your data is in your control. You download a government app. DigiYatra Foundation has launched an app called DigiYatra. You download that. You basically decide whether that information has to be shared or not. Where the world is moving now, customer actually decides what information to share with whom and for what outcome. I think that's what you're going to see in the data privacy moving forward. Then what we do is we provide rest of the infrastructure of the high-end facial recognition cameras, artificial intelligence algorithm, tying up with different airport ecosystems, so that when you come in, you just show your face. It says, okay, I recognize you, you're Rishi. It allows you through the security line, it allows you through the other lines, and within few minutes, you're at the boarding gate. And I also predict, which might seem very fancy today, in 10 to 15 years from now, don't be surprised if there is nobody at the airport. If we can do DigiYatra today, where we can make your journey so easy that once you reach the airport, within 20 minutes you're at the boarding gate of the busiest airport. Imagine what the world would look like 10 to 15 years from now, where there is nobody at the airport at all. You just walk in, the gates open up, there are bots, you just walk in all the way to the airline. And I think that those kind of imaginations are also not far off. The world we live in, we can actually go towards in the coming years. So this has been successfully deployed in some of the large airports, Delhi and Hyderabad. We partnered with a lot of companies out here, besides building our own software also, when we brought this solution at a very fast pace. And I must say that India is way ahead in a lot of other countries when this was basically implemented. So this served my two purposes of capacity unlocking and passenger onboarding. How it helped the customers in the airports in the revenue, because now they can turn around their flights, the planes, much earlier, much faster, which means they can serve more airlines. Now airport can make more money. So again, it went back to how they can monetize better. So these are, if anybody was following Twitter or anything on the social media, these are all people who use DigiYatra. They were commenting on their own, they were raving about it. So this is the customer delight, we got through this as a result of that. This is what I call as ROE, return on experience. And then the ROI, return on investment, would follow on its own. Now, data is at the heart of everything that we are trying, and I think you will see that in any transformation. Today, for example, in an airport-like ecosystem, if I'm serving 100 million passengers in a year, I have data coming from them, I have data coming from IoT sensors, I have data coming from security devices, I have data coming from the operations. Many people are giving me data. Now, the challenge becomes what insights you draw out of that data. And to be honest, this is the data insights that we want to use in the coming time to enable new streams of revenue. For example, we can get very imaginative. If you like a certain brand, let's say you like an H&M, you shop in H&M outside, what stops you from getting a very good, incentive for shopping on the same brand inside an airport, in case I can tie up the loyalty programs as an example. The loyalty program that you use outside, if I can bring that up in the airport ecosystem. Similarly for the lounges, similarly for so many things. So it's up to our imagination how far we take that journey, and that can be basically enabled by use of data-driven technologies, how you harness the data, and redefining the whole boundaries of the airport ecosystem. One simple case study that we did, we deployed a lot of sensors, IoT sensors, which basically kind of detect what is my queue length in various places. And once I can detect what's my queue length, then you can easily figure out how to make sure the passengers go through certain areas at a much faster pace, so that you can not only offer them a better service, but also turn around the flights extremely fast. And these have been some real-time case studies that we have done. Now, when we look at the airport And this is what I would encourage, this is the learning that I had. We are not only looking at the terminal, we are actually going into an entire aero city. So like Delhi has an aero city, Hyderabad is coming to an aero city. I'll tell you why. Because when you're a passenger, if I can figure out through automated systems that, for example, passenger XYZ has entered the aero city, if I can scan through a camera that your car has come, it has, and if you're a premium customer, all of a sudden, if I can start to alert everybody, from the person who's manning the Digiyatra counter to person who's going to receive you at the lounge to any other basically people at the airport, if I can facilitate that for you right from early on, it makes your journey easy. Second, you're a customer who is sitting in a hotel in the Aero City having your breakfast meeting. If I can alert on your phone that the queue length in the airport is optimal, it is not large at all, you can continue your business meeting for 30 minutes more, and vice versa also. So imagine the possibilities that we have with this. If I redefine the boundary of the airport, if I start calling it an airport ecosystem and start solving problems around the airport also, because that takes care of my passenger. If I'm taking care of the customer, the passenger who's paying to the airport, the different fees, who's paying to the airline also for his flights, if I can make his journey easier, it's very then easy for me to extract a value out of the airport also when I'm selling them solutions. Take it far, far along now. Why can we not come out with systems which can do my door-to-door experience for the customer? Which meaning you're sitting at home, you're traveling from your home, you're going to another city, airport just happens to be one stop in between. Airlines happens to be one stop in between. What if I can make your journey easy from end to end, very seamless? If we can get to that level, and that's what we have been debating internally, it just changes the whole definition of your experience. And it just changes the whole definition of how airports would treat you, how businesses in the entire hop would treat you. And then it becomes very easy to extract the value, whether in terms of monetization, transformation journey becomes easy. The point here is, please, my request is, please do not embark on a transformation in a very focused, limited manner. Think very holistically, plan very holistically, keep customer at the core of it, come what may. You might implement in stages, that's a different story. But your planning has to be much broader, much holistic, keeping customer at the core of it. Can you move the slide, please? This is not working. Okay. Next one. So I'll just end with a template for you if it helps you. If you look few years ago, IT used to sit outside of the businesses. IT was looked as somebody who's enabling businesses. Then IT came at the cross section of the business where they were working together a little bit. But today, if I have to redefine, IT is sitting inside the business if you're truly serious about the transformation. So the business leader has to wear the IT hat and the IT leader has to wear the business hat. It has to be vice versa, right? And you have to walk into each other's shoes, then only you can basically complement each other. It is not only IT guy wearing the business hat, you have to try it both ways. You will see massive transformations, results in your thinking also. If I can share with you, and then once you've done that, you look at your organization, what are the different functions. Your functions could be different than what I've listed out here. You figure out your goals, KPIs, you figure out your moonshot where you want to be, you figure out the achievable targets, and then you list on the digital transformation projects. So digital transformation project, the last column is just one of the cog in the entire wheel. It is not a starting place. A lot of people make that mistake of digital first. I think it should be transformation first in the entire digital transformation. Digital projects then become one of the many cogs. Because somebody smart might say, I don't need digital technologies to solve certain business outcomes. I have my own workarounds and jugaad in the short term, and the digital can come later. Very viable, very correct thing to do also. And we have seen that. So other times, you have to do the digital first, but before digital first, ground zero is your business outcome. So I would say, challenge yourself in coming out with the different ways, templates that you want to go after. If you can institutionalize in your own organization and in your discussions with customers, you'll start to see a lot of change. You can come back on the same page as you discuss. So those are, some of my learnings, the journey I've gone through. whether it's a culture, which is one of the biggest things that hits you both inside and as well as with the customer, getting customer onboarded with the business outcome, then making sure customer stays at the core, the end customer, not your B2B customer, but the B2B is serving an end customer. If you're serving a business, B2B, B2B has a C, so you take care of the B2B to C. Like airport is my customer, but whenever I meet airport, I talk about passenger with the airport. Because if we are not serving the passenger needs, then I cannot help my airport, which is my B2B, to help on the journey of the transformation. So once you're able to speak the same language of the end customer with your B2B customer, the journey becomes a lot easier. And then just show them that how their business outcomes are going to be driving everything else. You match whatever you're doing with the business outcomes of your B2B with your own business outcomes. It just makes it a little bit more easier as you start applying the technologies. And I think as we were passing along, there was one slide that got missed out. Many slides were missed out. If you can just go back, there is just one slide I want to show to the team. If you go back, because there was a malfunction. Keep going back. Keep going back. I'll tell you when to stop. I won't bore you with all the slides, but there is one slide I want to show. Keep going back. This one, yeah. So here is something I'll just share my own personal experience. Okay? So I do not know if you are very fond of reading. There is a very good author called Geoffrey Moore. He writes about chasm theory. Very interesting. What he talks about is that businesses, lot of startups, they will have a wonderful idea. They will find early adopter customers, and then it never takes off to go into mainstream business at all, because there comes a chasm in between. There comes a gap. They do not know how to translate from early adopter customer to a very mature mainstream market. We, by the way, see the same thing in the technologies. There was a big talk, for example, NFT, big talk around tokenizations. There were big talks around metaverse. They were all in the early adoption. We kept talking about how they can basically change the entire landscape, change the entire world. Everybody has forgotten about it now. Go back 9 months ago into a lot of presentations, conferences, talks. You would have just heard NFT, tokenizations, and metaverse and whatnot. What we forgot there was, to be honest, if you ask me, if you apply the theory of chasm, that all these are early adopters. Some of the early adopters make to the mature markets, but also what makes to mature market, if the technology like NFT or metaverse didn't make, but what makes to the mature market is the underlying fundamentals what they were after. Metaverse is built on AR, VR, bunch of other technologies. Those AR, VR technologies have not died. It is the entire packaging that has changed around us. NFT relies on a lot of decentralization and some of those technologies. NFT as a clothing might have disappeared for now, but decentralization has not died. Some of these technologies have moved into the mainstream market. Same thing happens with the business outcomes. So if you can keep that in back of your mind, both on the business outcomes and the technologies that we basically look at, you have to be ready that some of them are never going to cross the chasm at all. This has been proven in history again and again, both on the business side as well as the technology side. For those of you who have gone through many startup journeys. So then you have to be very, very conscious of what is it transferable, both in the business outcome and technology outcome, that you can carry it to the mainstream market. Like the example I gave of metaverse. Metaverse's skin has died, but the transferable asset was AR, VR, bunch of other technologies, IoT, which is being carried over. Same thing goes with the business outcomes. I'll take an example of business outcome. The entire India and airport ecosystem was very gung-ho about private 5G. We have very short-lived memories actually. As soon as the very first, basically obstacle came, which is that certain frequencies are going to interfere with the altimeters devices inside the airplanes. Hence the private 5G cannot be brought into the airport ecosystem, right? Everybody started saying, now I cannot run the low latency applications. I cannot run the application on the edge compute, and hence I cannot serve some of these things. No, it's wrong. 5G, private 5G was supposed to solve low latency applications. If that was the thing, then it's not about private 5G. It's about low latency. Go study your Wi-Fi now. Wi-Fi has gone to 6E standard. Wi-Fi has gone to Wi-Fi 7 for those of your technologists. They have borrowed the goodness from the cellular world like OFDMA. So in a private setting, they can solve the low latency things. So there are the alternatives we need to find, and that is what I call as the transferability of the tech and the business outcomes you're going to solve. And that's what we tend to forget. We get so enamored with the tech alone that we forget what the tech is solving and what business outcomes we want. So that's the message I wanted to communicate with this whole chasm and these kind of curves, what we have applied. So thank you so much. I'll leave the slides with Dr. Deepak and all. I think we could not cover all. I want to be respectful of time. Just want to share my learnings. Thank you. If anybody has questions, happy to answer.